How many museums have you ever gone to? You can't really say that everybody's a big fan of visiting museums, but you can say that every museum will teach you a thing or two, and that is a special experience. On this edition of Iran, we decided to introduce to you the Iranian capital's top 10 museums. Make sure you add visiting them on your to-do list once you're in Tehran.
If you know Iranians well enough, you know how proud they are of their rich history. That is why the best way to begin a tour of Tehran's museum would be to pay a visit here to the National Museum, where you can find some of the oldest artifacts ever found in Iran. One of the few most prestigious museums in the world, chock full of Iran's rich history, this is considered Iran's mother museum, preserving relics of the past.
در موزه ایران باستان ما از قدیمی‌ترین زمانی که انسان در فلات ایران ساکن شده آثاری در اختیار داریم و برای نمایش در پیش روی بازدیدکنندگانمون قرار دادیم که تاریخ اون به حدود 800,000 سال پیش میرسه.
The Saadabad Palace used to be the summer residence of the king and his family, but after the Islamic Revolution in 1979, the entire premises and the buildings inside were turned into a big museum. So when you come here, you actually get to visit 18 museums at the same time. The palaces can by no means be left out. After all, they are considered Iran's foremost tourist attractions, although Saadabad Palace itself still serves political functions and is a place where visiting heads of states are regaled.
It's very nice. It's a very cool place. It's got lovely views, lovely gardens, very diverse collection of miniatures and art.
A quick tour of the palaces in Tehran must also include the lavish Gulistan Palace, a masterpiece of the Qajar era, showcasing an integration of Persian crafts and architecture influenced by 18th century Western art. Kamalul Mulk Museum. The building itself used to be the place where the great master himself held his classes, and what you find here are 90 of the masterpieces produced by his own students. Opening new horizons, Kamalul Mulk made his mark in the 20th century with a new movement, dividing the history of painting into before and after himself.
موج دوم توسط استاد کمال‌الملک پایه‌گذاری شد که ایشون خب به هر حال یه دوره دیدن در اروپا و منجر به این شد که یک سری شاگرد تربیت شه و یه سبکی بیاد که از مینیاتور خارج بشه. درسته که حالا تکنیک‌های خاص خودشو داره، اما به هر حال به شیوه طبیعی‌گرایی و رئال رو آوردن.
The museum is located in Bagh-e-Nigaristan, a garden remaining from the Qajar era and serving as a school of fine arts at the beginning of the 20th century. Now you might want to know what artists are doing today in Iran. That is why you have to pay a visit to Tehran's Museum of Contemporary Art. The museum is surrounded by a garden studded with 15 sculptures, works of contemporary artists including the renowned Parviz Tanavoli. Although Iranian contemporary art is the main theme here, the museum is not limited to just that.
موزه هنرهای معاصر تهران گنجینه بسیار غنی از آثار هنرمندان اروپایی و هنرمندان آمریکایی داره که در این مجموعه بیش از 3000 اثر از این هنرمندان در این مجموعه نگهداری میشه و به مناسبت‌های مختلف تعدادی از این آثار در معرض دید علاقمندان قرار میگیره.
But still, organizing exhibitions from time to time, it's usually Iranian schools of painting and works of young Iranian artists that find their way here. If there's one thing Iranians boast about, it's their handicrafts, and you can find a collection of them here at the Museum of National Arts. Every single item in this amazingly small museum is a masterpiece, a work of art, including the building itself. The facade of the museum is adorned with tile works, and inside, the intricate plasterwork on the walls, the frescoes on the pillars, the 10th century style miniature paintings, traditional Persian marquetry, and enamel works and the metalworks take your breath away.
این موزه بناش مربوط به دوره فتحعلی‌شاه قاجار میشه که حوضخانه باغ نگارستان بوده. تقریباً حدود 200 سال قدمت بناش میشه. تمام بزرگانی که به ایران می اومدن اول از این موزه بازدید میکردن تا با فرهنگ و هنر ما آشنا بشن.
Now there would definitely be something missing if you don't pay a visit to the Carpet Museum. Carpet weaving is undoubtedly one of the most distinguished manifestations of Iranian culture. There are 100 pieces here, some even dating back to the 17th century. A great place to see a full range of regional patterns and a few unique carpets.
فرش‌های دوره صفوی قدیمی‌ترین هستند. ما قدیمی‌ترین فرشی که در موزه در حال حاضر در معرض نمایش گذاشتیم فرش سنگشکو هست. مربوط میشه به اواخر قرن دهم هجری قمری و متعلق بوده به یک شاهزاده لهستانی به نام رومن سنگشکو.
The main objective of the museum is to provide a source that satisfies the need for research about the historical background and evolution of this ancient art. It might be interesting for you to know that Iranians have been measuring time for thousands of years. Actually, the oldest clock in Iran is a 3,000-year-old water clock in the city of Yazd. And if you want to know more about that, the best place for you to visit is the Time Museum. An eye-catching collection of timepieces, including pendulum clocks and spring-driven clocks set into porcelain vases and paired with bronze sculptures, many of them noteworthy because of their owners.
اینجا مبنا بر این قرار گرفته که سیر تکاملی زمان رو نمایش بدیم. یک سری ساعت‌ها داریم که به ساعت‌های ابتدایی مشهورن که اینها رو توی محوطه توی فضای آزاد قرار دادیم.
In the garden outside, you can find replicas of ancient devices used to keep track of time, from the Sumerian sundial to the Chinese fire clock. One of the most important events in the history of Iran is its 8-year war with Iraq. So if you're touring the museums of Tehran, this one just has to be part of your itinerary. This is a brand new museum that tells the story of the 8-year war with Iraq with the help of cutting-edge technology and conceptual art. Inside, you can find photos and documents from the war, and outside a lineup of tanks and missile launchers.
باغ موزه دفاع مقدس با هدف انتقال ارزش‌ها و معارف دوران سراسر افتخار دفاع مقدس احداث شده. دارای 8 تالار هستش که مراحل وقوع انقلاب رو از زمان مبارزه با رژیم ستمشاهی رو تا پایان دوران دفاع مقدس رو به تصویر کشیده.
What I personally like about museums in Tehran is that most of them, as you've noticed, are located in a very big garden. Just like the museum I'm taking you right now, the Cinema Museum. The Qajar-era mansion-turned museum includes Iran's first cinema and a large collection of memorabilia from the country's century-old movie industry.
بعد از انقلاب سینمای ایران خیلی پررنگ فعالیت کرده، حضور بسیار موثری داشته. خیلی ها حتی ایران رو به واسطه سینماش میشناسن. از سالن اول مثلا شهر فرنگه که شهر فرنگ خیلی جذابه، مربوط به فیلم حاجی واشنگتن ساخته آقای علی حاتمی.
Learning about Iran would not be complete if you don't pay a visit to the Darabad Museum of Natural History, where you can find out more about the nature and wildlife of Iran. The museum's collection totals about 1,086 species of plants and animals native to Iran, including 140 bird species. There are some European and African specimens as well, all classified in 5 different sections.
ایران از لحاظ جانوری و گیاهی نمونه‌های منحصر به فرد زیاد داره، مثل گور ایرانی که خدمتتون گفتم یا زاغ بور که نمونه اندمیک ایران هست و تنها در ایران دیده میشه و گردشگران زیادی از کشورهای خارجی برای دیدن زاغ بور به ایران میان چون تو هیچ کشور دیگه‌ای نمیتونن اون رو مشاهده بکنن.
All in all, if you don't have much time to spend in nature, a quick visit here is highly recommended. Gisumi Shahmadi for Iran.